Hello everyone, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am here to bring you guys my most anticipated book releases for the first quarter of 2022. So that is going to be January through March. I have a pretty good mix of genres here from YA to adult romance. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm gonna go in chronological order from early January to late March. So we have a few books coming out on January 4th. The first one is One True Loves by Elise Bryant. This is the second book in her Happily Ever After series. I read the first book in the series, Happily Ever Afters. It was one of my top favorite books that I read this year in 2021. And this one sounds so cool because our main character is Lenore Bennett, who was such an iconic character in Happily Ever After. She was one of the best friends of the main character in that book. And so let's see. It says, a star artist and style icon at her high school, she's a master in the subtle art of not giving a, well, you know what. And now that graduation is near, she's a little less sure. She's heading to NYU in the fall, but she has not declared her major yet. She doesn't know what she wants to study. And so it says, her parents always remind her that Black kids don't have the luxury of figuring it out as they go. They have to be 110% prepared. But it's a lot of pressure to be her ancestors' wildest dreams when Lenore's not even sure what her dreams are yet. So it sounds like Lenore is going to figure herself out what she wants her life to be. This sounds amazing. I adore this cover. Purple's my favorite color, so I'm so here for it. So yeah, this comes out January 4th. Next up, we have Electric Idol by Katee Robert. This is book 2 in her Dark Olympus series. You might recall that Neon Gods came out this past year and everybody loved that book. I loved it as well. I gave it 5 stars, but it's not my personal favorite Katee Robert book. This is a Psyche and Eros retelling. From what I understand, the heroine is plus size. I know nothing more than that. I don't need to know more than that. Katee Robert is one of my favorite erotic romance authors, and I will say that as much as I enjoyed Neon Gods, it definitely wasn't my favorite book by Katee Robert. I'm not convinced that her traditionally published books are as good as her indie published books, but I'm still really excited to dive into this one. Next up, we have When You Get the Chance by Emma Lord. Now, Emma Lord is the author of Tweet Cute. I really enjoyed that book. I read that maybe in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. And this one just sounds really fun because it's about our main character, Millie, who wants to be a Broadway actress. We love that. And so she wants to go to New York to pursue her dreams, but her introverted dad doesn't want her to leave. And so she randomly comes across his like emo live journal from 2003. And so upon reading this journal of his, she discovers that I think she has like 3 possible moms. And so this turns into like a Mamma Mia plot because her goal is to find out who her actual mother is. And this just sounds really cool and unique, and I love the cover. So this one is also coming out on January 4th. So next up, we have Dead Silence. This is by 2 authors, S.A. Barnes and Stacy Cade. This sounds like an adult horror novel, so I told you guys there was going to be quite a variety of genres in this. It looks like it is a horror novel that takes place on a ghost ship. That sounds freaking cool. It says Titanic meets The Shining in this. It says Claire is days away from being unemployed, made obsolete, when her beacon repair crew picks up a strange distress signal. With nothing to lose and no desire to return to Earth. Oh, they're in space, not underwater. Okay. No desire to return to Earth, Claire and her team decide to investigate. What they find at the other end of the signal is a shock. The Aurora, a famous luxury space liner that vanished on its maiden tour of the solar system more than 20 years ago. Next up, we have The Roughest Draft by Emily Wibberley and Osmond Sigmund Broca. So what's really cool about this is that this is the first adult novel by this author duo. I believe they're married in real life, and this book is about a duo of authors that also falls in love. So is this autobiographical? I don't know. It says Katrina and Nathan were the brightest literary stars on the horizon, their co-written books topping bestseller lists. But on the heels of their greatest success, they ended their partnership on bad terms for reasons neither would divulge to the public. So it sounds like maybe it was like a friends to lovers situation, but the lovers part didn't go too well. Let's see, the last thing they ever thought they'd do again is hole up in the tiny Florida town where they wrote their previous book, trying to finish a new manuscript quickly and painlessly. So that sounds really cute, and it already has really good ratings on Goodreads, and I really like the cover as well. Both Dead Silence and this book are coming out on January 25th. And next we are already moving into February. I guess there weren't too many January releases that I was excited about. Next we have Horror Hotel. This is by Victoria Fulton and Faith McLaren. This is a YA horror novel. I love this cover. I am so here for this. This comes out February 1st exactly. This is about a group of teen ghost hunters. It says it is the Blair Witch Project for the TikTok generation. That sounds great. We have the YouTube famous ghost gang, Chrissy, Chase, Emma, and Kiki. They visit this haunted LA hotel. And they think it's going to be just like all of their previous paranormal huntings where they're not going to find much, if any, evidence. It says spooky enough to attract subscribers and ultimately harmless. But when they stumble upon something unexpected in the former room of a gruesome serial killer, they quickly realize that they're in over their heads. That's all I need to know about. I don't need to know much when going into a horror or a thriller novel. So now we're gonna move on to Not the Witch You Wed by April Asher. This comes out February 8th. I actually have an e-arc of this on NetGalley. Am I going to read it before it comes out? Probably not, because I am trash at reading arcs before the books come out. I am the worst at that. Just gonna call myself out there. So it says a fake relationship between a magicless witch and a wolf shifter turns to more in the start of a bewitching new paranormal rom-com series. Oh, and interesting, this is also a second chance romance, because it says Violet wants nothing to do with the alpha wolf shifter Lincoln Thorne, the man who broke her fragile teenage heart. And it says they're forced by arcane supernatural laws to find mates, and so they decide to fake date and fake mate. Next up on February 15th, we have House of Breath and Sky by Sarah J. Maas. Oh my goodness, we are finally getting the next book in the House of Earth and Blood series. Wait, what is this series called? Crescent City. Of course, Crescent City. I'm definitely planning on rereading House of Earth and Blood before diving into this, because your girl has forgotten like everything that happened in that book. I read House of Earth and Blood in like August of 2020, so I remember almost nothing. And that's like an 800-page book. So much happened in that. For those of you guys, if you don't know, this is an adult fantasy series from Sarah J. Maas, and it takes place in this really cool like modern day fantasy world, and there's all these different creatures, but we also have technology mixing with magic. This is also a murder mystery, and yeah, to say I'm hyped for this second book is putting it lightly. I personally love this cover. I'm surprised that some people hated it, but I love it, and I knew that it was going to be a blue cover, and I'm so glad that I was right. So yeah, this comes out February 15th. I already pre-ordered the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition because there's like an extra chapter at the end. Next up, this is a book that I just found out about today. This is Delilah Green, It Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. This is an adult sapphic romance by the author of Girl Made of Stars. So that's a YA book. This author has only so far written middle grade and YA books, and so I am so pumped to see her go into adult romance. I love the style of this cover, and of course it's purple. We already know I love that. It says a clever and steamy queer romantic comedy about taking chances and accepting love. It says Delilah Green swore she would never go back to Bright Falls. Her life is in New York. Okay, that sounds like the plot of a Hallmark movie. Like one of the main characters living in New York and then going back to their hometown. It says her life in New York with her photography career finally gained steam and her bed is never empty. Okay. Sure, it's a different woman every night, but that's just fine with her. So her estranged stepsister pressures her into photographing her wedding with a guilt trip and a 5-figure check. And so Delilah decides to go back to her hometown to do this job. And so it says she plans to breeze in and out, but then she sees Claire Sutherland, one of Astrid's stuck-up besties, and decides that maybe there's some fun and a little retribution to be had in Bright Falls after all. Ooh. Oh, and it's like a single parent romance because Claire has an 11-year-old daughter. That is coming out on February 22nd. And another book that's coming out on February 22nd is The Good Girl's Guide to Rakes by Eva Lee. I love this cover. It's beautiful. I will always appreciate these stunning historical romance covers. I am over the trash illustrated covers that some historical romances have been getting lately. I am over it. Illustrated covers for me work for contemporary romances, but really not so much for historicals, in my opinion. If you disagree, that's fine, but that's just my thoughts. So this is book 1 in a new series. It's The Last Chance Scoundrels. Let's see. When Kieran Ransom's latest antics result in a massive scandal, his father issues an ultimatum: find a respectable wife or inherit nothing. So of course now he's looking for a wife. Then we have Celeste Kilburn. She's a society darling, beloved by influential members of the ton. But keeping a spotless reputation leaves little room for adventure. So we love this. This is a classic good girl meets a rake romance. That sounds great. Next up we have Turning by Joy L. Smith. I love this cover. It's so beautiful. And I love YA novels about ballerinas. Like I read Tiny Pretty Things, like that duet this past year, and absolutely adored it. And this one sounds amazing. It says, in this raw, searingly honest debut young adult novel, a former aspiring ballerina must confront her past in order to move forward from a devastating fall that leaves her without the use of her legs. It sounds really sad, but really beautiful at the same time. And like I said, I'm just so here for that cover. So that comes out on March 1st. So now we're officially moving into the March releases. Next we have The Rumor Game. This is by Danielle Clayton and Sonia Karaipotra, which is funny because they are the authors of the Tiny Pretty Things duet that I just brought up. So this takes place at Foxham Prep, a posh private school for the children of DC's elite. And it says, a single rumor has the power to ruin a life. Okay, this sounds like Ace of Spades and Gossip Girls. I'm already sold. These two authors always bring it with the drama and the tea. Like I said, the Tiny Pretty Things duet, man, that was a messy duet. Like so much drama, and I loved it. And so it says, nobody knows that better than Bryn. She used to have it all: the perfect boyfriend, a bright future in politics, and even popularity. Then one mistake sparked a scandal and burned it all to the ground. And so now it's the start of a new school year and the spotlight has shifted. It's geeky Georgie, newly hot after a summer makeover, whose name is on everyone's lips. Yeah, this sounds like Gossip Girl vibes. Like, that's all I need to know. This also comes out on March 1st. And the third book also coming out on March 1st is Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. Oh my god, this is the next book in her, like, I don't know, It Happened One Summer series. I don't even know if the series has a name, but it's the follow-up to that book, which I read this past year. Absolutely adored. And so this one is following the sister of the main character in It Happened One Summer. I don't need to know anything more than that. I think we met the hero in the previous book of this little series already. So, oh my god, I'm just so excited. Like, Tessa Bailey is quickly becoming one of my new favorite romance authors. She always brings it with the steam and the dirty talking, but amazing stories and characters as well. Like, just so good. Next up we have One for All by Lily Lainoff. This is also a book that I just came across today, and it sounds like an Own Voice's gender-bent retelling of The Three Musketeers, in which a girl with a chronic illness trains as a musketeer and uncovers secrets, sisterhood, and self-love. Sold. Sold. I'm not reading any more of the synopsis. That's it. That's all I need to know. I really enjoy this cover. Yes for the chronic illness representation. Yes for gender bent musketeers. Excuse me, that sounds incredible. And just so y'all know, that is coming out March 8th. The next book is also coming out March 8th. This is The Golden Couple by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. I don't want to know anything before going into this book. I have read all three of their previous books. They write mystery thrillers, like domestic mystery thrillers, and that sounds like that's exactly what this is. I personally think that their books have been getting better and better with each release, so I'm sure that this is going to be their best book yet. And then we have a few books coming out on March 29th that I'm really excited about. The first one is Survive the Dome by Kosoko Jackson. So we have our main character, Jamal Lawson. He's an aspiring journalist. He packs up his camera and heads to Baltimore to document a rally protesting police brutality after another black man is murdered. But before it even really begins, the city implements a new safety protocol, the Dome. The Dome surrounds the city, forcing those within to subscribe to a total militarized shutdown. No one can get in and no one can get out. Okay, but why does this sound like something that would actually happen, and that makes it all the more terrifying. Next up, we have The Dragon's Bride by Katie Robert. I know absolutely nothing about what this book is about, but I saw this incredible cover. I mean, doesn't that look like the perfect, like, old school historical romance cover with a dragon hero instead of a human hero? I don't even know if the blurb's out yet, actually. But yeah, this is set to come out March 29th. This is, of course, one of her indie published books, and I'm just so excited because of the cover. And last but certainly not least, we have Four Aunties and a Wedding by Jessie Q. Sutanto. So this is the follow-up to Dial A for Auntie that came out this past year. I read it, absolutely loved it. One of the funniest books that I've ever read. So, so good. You know, I think it toes the line between just like a fiction novel and a romance novel, but I think it's overall been categorized as just fiction. And so it sounds like this is going to be about the wedding of the two main characters from Dial A for Aunties, and I'm just so excited. I love this cover so much. I adore it. I adore the art style. Like, it just makes me happy. I love the bright colors, and the aunties were freaking hilarious in the last book, so I know that this one is going to be just as funny. So that's going to be it for my most anticipated book releases for the first quarter of 2022. Definitely leave a comment down in the description below if you have any releases that I didn't mention in this video that you're looking forward to in early 2022. I would also love it if you would leave a like and subscribe, and I thank you so much in advance if you do. And with all of that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!